Hey everyone, today I have Scott from Brand Creators back with me on the channel for Coffee with Kittl. Today we're talking about marketing. Now don't go anywhere. Don't run away. We need you to sit here and listen to us talk about this, because I feel like a lot of you that are using Kittl or you're using whatever else, whether you're doing print on demand, whether you're doing your own Shopify site, doing your own products, whether you're doing some kind of service, whatever, and you're still making the designs in Kittl, I think people are getting really good at using templates more and editing templates and creating stunning designs and even doing the research to find some of those design styles or trends or whatever. But I think one thing that people neglect, and this is what we're going to talk about, is how to market, how to promote, how to share, how to show off and get eyeballs on your designs, your products, your services, whatever. And one thing that I want to hone in on for this conversation with Scott is email marketing, because we know that it's proven, we know that it's worked. There's a lot of people that just aren't doing it and or just don't know where to start. And so I think I would like to kind of just start there. If Scott, just give us kind of a, the brief, like at the baseline, here's why email marketing is necessary. And then here's how I would start to grow it from XYZ, my Etsy, my, things that you have
Sure.
experience with.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing email marketing now for 20 years, and I've got something that I call the fishbowl method, which was kind of, it started 20 years ago with my wife and I in our photography business. And I'll just share this quick story, just so you can kind of see what the power of email is and kind of how I discovered it. But basically, years ago, there wasn't all these fancy tools, like, whatever you're using for your email provider, but like Aweber is what I started with years ago. There's a lot of them out there nowadays. So didn't even have that. So we took a fishbowl. We were in the photography niche, and basically we were photographers. And so we went to a school gala. We donated a package, was a $200 package. And I said to my wife, I go, let's give one of these away as well, and we'll just have people enter in like a raffle. And so we had a fishbowl, and we had them fill out their name and email address, and then they would, fold it and put it in there. And then at the end of the night, we would pick a winner, announce it, and then they would win. Well, everyone that's entering this contest, this giveaway, their families, because they're at a school event, and they probably want to get their family picture taken because they told us so. And so now I've built this email list of these people. And then what we would do is we would put those in manually, which was a lot of work. And we would use like Outlook Express back in the day. Yeah. And I would blind copy 100 at a time, because that's all you could do at a time. And then I would send those out to people and say, hey, thanks so much for entering, but you didn't win, but we'd like to give you 20% off,
there you go.
A session. And that worked great. And that's what lit me up. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. And I didn't realize it was marketing at the time. I'm like, didn't know what the heck I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to get people that were interested in our service potentially. And from there, that just kicked off my email marketing. And then, so from there, it was like, I brought it into every business that I did. Well, now people would say, well, that was 20 years ago. Email doesn't work anymore. Email's dead. Like everybody's on social media, or everybody's, communicating through, Snapchat or whatever. Right. And the answer is, no, email still works. And if you look at any company, like, I don't know, what type of, maybe shirts that you buy, or like I just bought some sneakers from Noble, which is a brand. It's a brand, and I got on their email list, and when you know it, I get an email every day with like a new drop that they did, or a coupon or something. Right? Untuck It is a shirt that I bought once, and now I'm on their email list. I get an email almost every day. Bulletproof Coffee, same thing. Get an email every day. Right?
Yep.
So the stuff still works. These are multi-million-dollar companies using email, so we should probably take their lead. But the power of email is it does separate you from all the noise on social media. If you take a social media post, the reach has gone way down. We all have seen that, right? Like it's like, go on Facebook. Let's say you have 1,000 people that are following you, or that are in your group or whatever, and you post something, you're lucky to get 5% of people to see your stuff. I mean, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Right. But for email, average across the industry is like 20%. But it gets better. if you're very specific with how you're building your list, and if you're very specific on the audience and the niche that you're going after, we see open rates as far as 35,
Wow.
45%.
Wow.
So and we just did an email promotion recently for my wife's Etsy shop, and it did fantastic.
Yeah.
And we can get into it, but the idea of people thinking like they're just going to use a platform to get the traffic, they're being misguided. And I think they need to be educated that you have to bring awareness to your products. You can't just allow the platform to bring you traffic, because you and I were talking a little bit off air. Etsy has one thing in mind. Amazon has one thing in mind. Any platform has one thing in mind: sales.
Yep.
They're going to promote and push and rank according to sales.
Right.
Yes. Optimization, optimize your title, your tags, your, keywords, like all that stuff. Very important. But without sales, they ain't going to give you anything. Right.
Nothing.
It's like they're going to promote the ones that are selling. So we have to inject sales. We can do that through email. We can do that through ads. But email marketing to me is so powerful, because once you build the list, you have the list, and God forbid, like, let's just say Etsy decides to suspend your account, which they've been known to do. And what do you do now?
Yeah. Exactly.
We got an email list.
I think that it's really interesting that people, like you said, are suggesting that email is dead for some reason. And it's like, I don't think I can think of one friend, family member that doesn't have an email, because like, if you think about all the things that you need to like sign into and have a login to is using email. It's like that is like the first line of defense for just verifying. It's like we sent a verification code to your email, right? Or like you said, you bought something and it's like, hey, do you want to sign up for our newsletter, because we may give you 20, 30, 40% off?
Yep.
Well, obviously, yes. And then even once you're going to go check out, if you want to have a smooth checkout process again, you're going to sign up. You're going to have a login, right, with your email. So it's so interesting that people don't navigate towards that as the first line of defense. Is just at the very base minimum, let's start building an email list. So that is a perfect segue into getting into the practicalness of this now. So obviously you suggested a really cool kind of manual way where you can certainly still do that. Let's say I was doing one of my pop-up shops on the weekend, or my wife was doing a pop-up shop. We don't necessarily have to have a physical bowl, although actually that's kind of cool. People love the analog stuff now. You could even have like a QR code on your phone that signs people up to an email thing to do a raffle. So a raffle is a great way. Totally. That's more of a manual way to collect email addresses and stuff like that. But let's go into what most people are doing, which is obviously the digital space. Clearly, when we're talking about something like Shopify or a personal website, obviously if someone is coming and they're going to buy something, you're collecting the email that way. But there's a difference between just like passively like, oh, I've got some sales, I can see their email address, I can see their, card number, whatever. That's not really building or doing anything with it. So where do we start, kind of baseline practical tip one, square one, in building this email list, whether it's from Etsy, which I know a lot of your viewers are into Etsy, or really anywhere else?
Yeah, well, and let me just address Etsy real quick, because the word on the street is you can't collect email addresses from Etsy.
Right. And that's why I wanted to ask the question is like, where does someone go? Is it in like a PDF that they download when they get your product and they get, it's like sign up for you know what I mean? So anyway, I'll let you talk through that.
Okay. So just to get people up to speed, if they don't already know this, but Etsy recently came out and said, we are no longer going to give API access to the email addresses. That was like their first thing. And what they were basically saying was any third-party app that already has it. Aweber was integrated, so Aweber was able to collect the email address, and then from the email address, you could send emails. You still had to get their consent. You still had to get them to confirm, but you were able to do it through an API. Everbee recently did it too with Everbee email, which I'm a fan of. But they came out with this thing. So then all of a sudden, people are saying like, you can't do it anymore. What Etsy has said is, even inside of your own account, even though you can see your email addresses, you can't copy and paste them and then start emailing your customers.
Huh.
Okay. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. You cannot do that. But what they're saying is you have to get consent. You have to get the permission.
Yeah.
So a quick, easy way to do this, and no matter what platform you're on, you're going to be able to send a welcome message, right? A message that says, thank you.
Yeah.
We just received your order. Thank you so much for supporting a small business. My wife and I run this. You give them a little bit of a story. We're going to be shipping out your thing as soon as possible. And hey, I'd love to invite you to our Garden Lover VIP Club. This is where we do monthly giveaways. We do discounts on new releases, special offers. Like if you'd like to join our VIP list, go to gardenlovervip.com.
Sure.
And we would buy that domain name, and then we would forward it over to what we call a landing page, which would be basically a place where people could type in their name and email address. That's it, right? Like Etsy's okay with that because you're getting the permission. If they put their name and email address in and hit submit, they're saying
they're ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Send stuff. Right.
Exactly.
So that's like a myth out there that's being talked about that people just don't understand really what they're saying. Right. And to back this up, Etsy actually recently rolled out Share and Save.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So Share and Save was rolled out, I believe, in September. And Share and Save is where they're giving you a unique link that you can share and that you can use to drive your own traffic. And if you do, they'll reward you and they will give you part of your feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
And I believe it's like 4%, I think it is. I forget what the exact is, but they're giving you
6, I think, something like that. 4 of the 6, or because I think the normal one is like 6, and so I think, are they giving you 4% back of the 6?
I believe so,
something like that.
And again, that may have changed. I don't know, but they are giving you, they're giving you a good portion of that back. They're giving you that so that they say, hey, we're gonna reward you for driving traffic, right? And so, which is really cool, and we get to now track it. So we were sending emails, for the last 2 years to my wife's shop, but we never could track it really. There's not really a good way to track it. But now we can see how many clicks, how many orders, and how much we got in our fees that we saved,
right?
Which is really cool. And we recently did this, and I did this as an experiment because I wanted to kind of prove that email works. And we did it over, I believe, 21 days, and we did over $1,100 in just email. Email.
Okay.
Right. Not, anything else, just email. And so anyway, so for people the very first thing to do is also not just think about your customers that are coming in, that you're going to grab their emails. The way that you would do that, like I said, welcome email, whatever you're giving them after they order, come up with a VIP club of some kind, or something that would, not just a newsletter, because that's not exciting, right? Like something where you're going to feel special. You're part of the club. And then you're going to get special discounts, offers, whatever.
Right.
That's the first thing. But the second thing is go outside of the platform. Like, so what we do is, again, we kind of turned our fishbowl method into the modern method, which is really the giveaway method. And what we tell people to do now is, and this is what we do, and this is how we've built our list for my wife's shop, is we go outside of the platform. We go to where everyone hangs out, Facebook, and they got targeting, real good targeting there. And then we basically create a bundle, a giveaway of, just like back in the photography days, a bundle of what we offer. So let's say that we were in the garden niche and we were going after garden people. We would then create like the apron that they get with the design. We would do like, maybe it's the gloves. Maybe it's the a sweatshirt that has a nice design or a saying on it, right? We would bundle 3-4 things together, get the value up to over $100 of value, not our cost. And then we would take that and we would build a landing page and we would run a giveaway and we would target people on Facebook.
Okay.
And then from there, we're building that list. And now here's the cool thing. They're all raising their hand. They're like, yeah, I'm a garden lover, or I know someone that's a garden lover. Like, I want that. And you're like, cool. And so then they enter. Well, now let's say you get 500 people to enter. Well, you only got one winner. You got 499 that didn't win. Well, we don't want them to not win. So we're like, follow up with like, hey, thanks so much for entering the giveaway. You didn't win, but we want everyone to walk away a winner. We want to give you 25% off your next purchase in our Etsy shop, in our store,
Exactly. And
wherever
so
you're
then
going to
then
direct
you
them.
funnel them back to
You funnel
your
them
store.
back.
Right? Yeah.
Right. And then you say it's going to be good for the next 4 days. I always put a timeline on it because timelines always work. You have a start, a middle, and an end.
Mm-hmm.
Again, marketing, it's like we all react to deadlines. Look at Black Friday, look at Cyber Monday.
Right.
You need some type of compressed time. And then from there, we just send out the emails letting them know that, we're giving you this special thing. It ends here. And then we just send reminders. And that's like the first wave. And now we have this list of people that are interested in what we sell.
Right.
It's that
And
simple, right?
are you continuing to only send content that is specific to an offering, or are there, I guess maybe eventually we can get into like what a drip campaign looks like, or a flow, right? An intro flow, right? They're signing up. Obviously, they're getting some sort of message. It's like, hey, thanks so much for signing up, or confirming that they signed up, right? But I guess then the next question is like, all right, so we got this list. What are the things that we are needing to do to either keep that list engaged and
Yep.
fresh, other than just, like a discount? Because it's like maybe people just don't want that product right now, for example, like the buying season is not on. But is there other relevant content that we're, like you said, we're trying to make them feel special, right? Like they're part of something. Does the question make sense?
Yeah, it does. So
Okay.
basically, I think what you're asking is like, so how do you keep them, we call it warmed up or engaged,
Oh,
like you
right.
said, like to
Yeah,
where we're like, so where like you're not like just showing up whenever you have something to sell.
exactly. That's the exact question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cool thing that I like to do is in like for being like creators of like designs, and if you're like, my wife loves creating and she loves creating new designs, she loves creating new products. So when she's doing that, that's a great excuse to say, hey, it's Lisa, this past weekend I had this inspiration to create this garden apron because I saw the cardinal and it made me think of this, so I decided to put together an apron because I just was inspired. You can go check it out here. Like literally, like that's it. I'm not telling you like you got to go buy. It's a pressure thing. It's like
It's more story.
it's a true story, right?
Yeah.
And so anytime that you're creating something new, tell people you created something new. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the excuse. The other thing it could be, and I like to always kind of weave in, like if you're in the garden niche, like I said, like you'd be like, this past weekend I was out in the garden and I was really thinking, how much I love this time of year. Mother's Day is coming up. And whenever I think about Mother's Day, I think about my mom who's no longer here and blah, blah, blah. Right. So you're weaving in some nice story and stuff. And you're like, and that's why, I create my designs. I like to know that I'm giving someone else or putting a smile on someone else's face. Here's a couple that I created last year that are some of my favorites. And then you would just link out to them. Right. So it's like, the reason is just to be you and what you're doing in your business. If you're just creating stuff to sell stuff and it's not really your thing,
and it's literally just an email with a picture and a price.
yeah, that's different. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I've always approached email. And that's how we've always done it. It's like, you're still going to tell you don't want people to know that you don't have stuff for sale. You want to let people know, like, I sell stuff. Right. And so what we always do too, in like our PS, we always drop in the PS, like, and something like, oh, and if it's been a while since you checked out our Etsy shop, go here and see some of my latest creations or something like that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I can see right in the email how many people have scrolled to the bottom and clicked that link. And you'll be surprised how many people actually click on that link. Even if you didn't put let's say that you just wanted to tell a quick story, or maybe you wanted to share a review. That's another great thing. Someone leaves you a review and says, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much for the sweatshirt. My mother loved it. It made her Mother's Day. I'll definitely be back and I'll buy more in the future. Your stuff is awesome.
That's great.
I'm going to basically say, oh my gosh, Sally from so-and-so made my day. She, and I'm just going to explain what happened. And I'm sharing that social proof, by the way. Like, what's a review do? It gives people social proof. That's why
Exactly.
reviews work so good on Etsy, Amazon, Google, like everywhere, right? So why not
Yeah.
take that review and go, see, I got someone that said something really nice about me, but I'm doing it in a way that doesn't sound like I'm saying that, right?
Right.
It's just I'm saying like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And oh, if you've bought something in the past from me, if you've had a positive experience, let me know. I'd love to hear it. You'll make
Exactly.
my day, right?
Exactly.
And so
In
this
that
way here, you're
same
kind of like stirring it up, but yet
right.
you're bringing attention, saying like, look at me, but you're not saying, look at me,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So that's
In that
another
same
a little thing you can always do. And then it makes people like, oh, I think this is a real person. They really care. Like,
yeah.
so that I think that's another way of kind of like having things to talk about without
Mm.
selling,
Right.
you know?
Another thing I'm wondering, I had a conversation with a friend of mine that runs a digital product shop. Right, he sells
Sure.
Procreate and digital tools. He also was a massive proponent of the email marketing. Right, that's
Hmm.
how he's built his business over time.
Hmm.
And one of the strengths of email marketing, in his opinion, that he talks about a lot is surveys or
Yep.
essentially collecting, trying to figure out what people want. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering how you do that or what you think about it.
Yeah.
And is that another kind of viable way to not just get people, warmed up or keep them warm, essentially like actually invite them into the process. So
Yep.
how do you handle and or do that?
I love that because that's something else that I've done. Like let's say that you wanted to get people's opinions on things that you're working on,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You could either in an email go, tell me out of these three, what one you think I should create next. And
Mm,
then you don't even put the image in the email because a lot of times too, and this is a little bit nerdy, is like your open rate, your deliverability. Um, your deliverability will become less when you add more images, more HTML. Like people want the emails that look like professional, right? I
sure.
personally make mine all plain text, all plain
Mm,
text. Every now and then I'll throw an image in there, but I want the curiosity to be that you want to go click and see the picture, right? So I'll describe the
Oh,
thing.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll describe the thing more so you want to go and see it. Like, oh, check out this new garden flag I just made, right? And then they're like, oh, I want to see what it is. Boom, click, right? So I
Right.
sell it. It's like I always tell people, you're selling the open, and then you're selling the click, right? We got
Mm,
to get them to
okay.
open in order to see the click. If they don't open, they can't see the click. So the
Exactly.
first
There's no
job
point.
is your
Yeah.
subject line, right? And we can get into that too, but it's like subject
Right.
line that gets the
Right.
open. Once we get the open, we got to sell the click. If you give them everything in the email, they got no reason to click. They're
There's
not
no
going to
purpose.
click.
Yeah. The preview text and the subject, if every information is there, like I made 7 new garden flags, it's
Right.
like maybe at that time, 400 of the 500 people just they're like, well, I don't want any garden flags.
Yeah.
You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right. Right. And instead, like maybe you're starting the subject line just to get someone to click, and you'll be like, OMG, um, this made this made my garden smile.
Right.
And then you'd be like, oh,
Super
and
vague.
remember, this person's a garden person, right? That I'm sending this to.
Sure.
And the minute I
They're part
use
of
the
the
word
tribe.
garden
Yeah.
in there, they're like, huh? Garden? Right. And then they open the email. And then in the email, I get to explain and then kind of weave it into where I would then try to get them to either, like you said, like maybe vote on one of those three. And like I said, a vote could be very easily this too, without them even knowing they're voting. Is like if you put three separate links in there talking about three separate types of products, I can see how many clicks that link got, and that link got.
Sure.
So now I know that the cardinal flag did better than the blue jay flag, right?
Just in
Because
general,
I
you're
have,
talking about when they open it and they see cardinal flag, blue jay flag, raven flag,
yep.
the idea would be, well, it looks like the blue jay flag is like that just immediately got curiosity. They didn't even see it yet, but the
Mhm.
clearly like that's where the just in the text,
Yep.
the that's what they wanted to see, right?
Yeah, so if I looked at the analytics, I could see,
Right.
oh, like 90 clicks went to the Blue Jay and there was only 20 on the other and 20 on the other, right? I'm like,
Yep.
there's obviously more interest in the Blue Jay, so maybe I need to create more Blue Jay stuff.
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But the other way of doing it is going like, hey, I'm in the middle of creating 3 new flags, and I would really love you to help me out and see what one you like the best right now. So if you
Right.
could go ahead and if you could take a look at these and then reply back to this email and let me know.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? You could do
Yeah.
that. There's sophisticated surveys and stuff that you can do. I don't really like to get that crazy. You could just do a Google Doc or a Google form.
Google
Just
form.
create a
I was
Google
going to
form.
ask you if there's other ways you
Yeah. Yeah. Just say,
collect.
hey, could you do me a favor? Could you vote and let me know what one of these 3 flags I should do next? Go here to let me know. And then they would click on that and it would take them to the Google form. And then the Google form would say A, B, or C.
EC. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
then
total,
you got your data. So I'm a big fan of that because then you are including them. And then they're like, I wonder which one they're going to pick, or I wonder which one they're going to do next. And then you would put in the next email after you've decided and say, thank you in the subject line. And then inside of it, you would be like, the other day after I sent you that, for you to vote on the flag that I should do next. Well, 150 of you said that you wanted me to do this. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to create that one next. And here's a preview of what I'm working on.
Right.
So you're getting them excited about it and things. A lot of cool things you can do. But without that communication, right, you can't do that. If you did the same thing on a Facebook post, you're lucky to get, like I said, 5% would be good.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be good. So out of 100 people, you get 5 people to see that. But with email, at a bare minimum, you're going to get 20%, even if you're not doing a good job with your subject lines.
Even if you're not doing,
seriously, if you're just putting in there
vote for these 3.
Vote for these 3. Instead of it being like, OMG, help me, right? Like something that's going to get curiosity and it's going to be like, oh, I should open that. Or I just did one the other day for my brand creators email list. And it was a personal message that I wanted to send to them. And it was also non-Etsy related. So in it, I put personal message, and then I put brackets, non-Etsy related, right? And the thing crushed. I think I got which I'm normally getting about a 30%. I think we got almost like a 40% on that. Wow. So, subject lines is a whole nother animal. We could talk for a whole hour on that, but it's, to me, I want people to understand that if you have an email list, you have an asset. That asset, you can bring it anywhere you want. You can point it anywhere you want. But if you have a TikTok shop, which is blowing up right now, TikTok shops are crushing. They're still vulnerable too, because if they don't get the email address, TikTok says, sorry, we're banning you. You're done. Etsy, same thing. Instagram, I got a buddy that's, he's got like 90,000 followers. He gets pretty good engagement. And he got, someone took over his account, then he had to try to get it back. And then when he did, it got suspended. And now he's got no way to reach those 90,000 followers.
Dang.
Dang.
So. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a real thing. I've had personal Facebook accounts hacked that I had set up through my, business page.
Yeah.
To try to
it's
figure
scary.
that. Never got it back, and it happens, and you're right. And that's exactly the same point that Dustin, my friend I had on Coffee with Kittl, it's the same exact point. He said, what happens if, Creative Market hits the fan, or Etsy hits the fan, or your shop just goes down, right? It's like, how will you let people know that you still have things that they want, and where are they going to get it now, right? And so there's a whole facet to that's important to keep in mind. And
for sure.
I think one thing I want to talk about, and I think it might be nice to actually talk in a little bit about maybe some subject line, preview line, kind of text versus image later. But before we get to that, we've kind of walked through some methods of collecting emails, whether that be just manually, Like,
Yep.
hey, I'm out and about. I'm doing this thing. I'm going to collect emails. And or like you said, it's a message either through Etsy, or if you have a Shopify or something, you're sending an email receipt anyway. And
Yep.
it's just saying, hey, do you want to be included in this? Right. So there's these methods in getting emails. Let's talk about managing these emails.
Mhm.
And there's, I think, everything under the sun in terms of different clients that handle emails, right?
Yep.
Like, you could go real crazy if you have a big agency. You go something like HubSpot, that
Mhm.
crazy, massive power that can do emails. But then you can also do like, Mailchimp, something that's like
Yep.
a little bit more beginner friendly, but also has options for scale.
Mhm.
What do you suggest to the beginner that's well, I'm gonna guess that if there's a landing page somewhere, they've either I think you can create landing pages on Mailchimp and these other email clients. So I
Yeah.
guess the question needs to be lumped together to you now that I'm asking is what are you suggesting for the beginner? That's the it's I guess it's called an email client, right? It's an
Yep.
email platform,
Mhm.
and what do you suggest? What's been your experience? So people don't just like try to start and then they just get so afraid that they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is like people need to understand too, like you don't have to get stuck in one platform. You
Okay.
can always export your email addresses and take them with you. Like so,
Okay.
I think a lot of time. But then what happens is people get really comfortable with a platform that they're on, but then they still might be not happy with it. Um, I'll just give you my experience. So, like, I
Okay.
started on Aweber. Aweber's still a thing, which is crazy. But I started with Aweber. I had them for probably close to 10 years. And then I just started to go to different ones for more like automation stuff.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I went to Active Campaign, I went to SendGrid, I went to ClickFunnels, which ClickFunnels had its own, but then they really kind of migrated with SendGrid, um, ConvertKit. I like ConvertKit
Oh,
a
nice.
lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a bunch, right? Mailchimp's a great beginner one. I say
Okay.
beginner, it's still good enough. I mean, you could run a
It's
million
yeah.
dollar business with it.
Sure. Sure.
It does what you need it to do. I think in the beginning, it's just a matter of like getting an email tool that's going to allow you to be able to get started the
Okay.
fastest. So
Right.
like
That's yep.
if you were like just Etsy, I would say like Everbee email. That's the one I'm promoting now, and I'm a fan of because I use it. And there's a lot of great things, and I know the founder Cody. He's a great
Mm-hmm.
guy, great team. Then ConvertKit I think would be one if you're just like more like uh, you know, online business, like in general.
Sure. In
But if
general,
you
yeah.
were going to do something like really heavy e-commerce, I would say like Klaviyo is probably a one that's really
That's
robust.
a powerful one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
the learning curve on it's huge,
yeah.
right?
It's a
It's a
beefy one.
lot of automations and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I like to keep it simple. Like and even I've done very long email follow-up sequences. I've done all that.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
I've kind of went back to my old days where it's like I have like one or two welcome messages, and then after that it's all broadcast. So like
Oh, nice.
yeah, so I mean, mine's simple. Like I've got different entry points to where you can come in, but then once you're in, you'll get like a couple of emails of just like some resources. No selling. It's just resources, maybe a little bit of a backstory, whatever. Inviting them to the Facebook group because I want to get them on my Facebook group, so that way there we can continue the conversation. It's another touch point. But really, it's just simple. Like I like to keep it simple. So it's like email, couple emails to kind of let them know they're in the right place. And then from there, it's broadcast email. And I would say one email per week. And
Mhm.
pretty much every platform we just talked about does, landing pages that you can build
Okay.
internally
Okay.
within there. And you can have a follow up message, or you can automate a sequence. And then you can also, from there, you can do some really fancy stuff too with like some tagging and some triggers and things like that.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
in the beginning, it's like just keep it simple. Like
Yeah.
just keep it simple.
Yeah. And a lot of them I know of um, will, let's say you do have a personal, you have a personal website. A lot of them will let you embed that
Oh yeah,
form, right? That
very
so
easily.
if you have your own website, like for example, I have my own personal website,
Yeah.
I could be using whatever email client, set up my nice landing page with a header, everything looks the same, and then I'm just embedding that
Yep.
essentially form field, that newsletter form field or whatever
Yep.
it is. Super easy, right? They give you the
Very.
little script or the little code or
Little
the link or
snippet.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, super easy to do. So
Yep. Yeah.
I really like that advice of keeping it simple. I think people continually think it's not simple,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that's why I do like to suggest something like MailChimp, because getting in there and creating a funnel or a little drip or
Yep.
whatever they do, it's a relatively kind of seamless, easy structure of like, here's the email. Would you like to add an email? All right, here's the email that comes second. Here's a preview. Is there anything you want to change?
Yep.
It's very simple. And it's like, you
Very.
don't have to do that if you don't want to.
Right.
You can just
Right.
go choose the list that you want to send and then just start a new email, right?
That's it.
Like
That's it.
super
Yeah.
clean, right?
Yeah. And the cool thing is too, is like also like, and this is what I do a lot of times. I'll cheat a little bit and I will, I'll take an email that I sent and then I'll just duplicate it and then I just modify it. So I don't have to go in and like,
Oh,
recreate
right. You're
tags,
like kind of doing a template kind of
yeah.
deal.
Now,
Yeah.
one little ninja tip though that I'll give your viewers is one thing that I do that a lot of people don't do, and I don't know why, is I always send an email to my unopens. So basically, most email providers will allow you to do this.
Okay.
And what it basically is doing is you set this is kind of like my procedure.
Okay.
I'll send my email out 7, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Okay.
just because that's the time that I'm sitting down for the first time doing my morning coffee. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I write my email. That's like
Yep,
my
yep.
normal thing. And so write the email, send it out. Next morning, I'm not going to send another email, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send to the people that did not open the email.
You're going to send the same email or are you sending something else?
Same email.
Interesting. I didn't. Okay. Yeah.
Because the only thing I'm changing is the subject line, and the subject line will be very, very slight change. And the
Okay.
reason why is because think about this. Let's say that I've got 1,000 people on an email list, and let's say 20% open. So that's 200 people. There's 800 people that did not open that email.
Yeah,
now, it was either the subject line didn't catch their attention, they were busy, didn't have time to open it. And when they went back into their email, it was buried with like 100 other emails that they got, right? So here's the interesting thing though. I send out that email the next day on the unopened.
Yep.
And I will get an extra 10 to 15% opens. So I've taken that email from a 20 to a 30.
Yeah.
Just from doing that.
Right.
And that means what happens when I get more opens? I get more clicks, right? So it's like, it's crazy that people aren't doing that more. And actually, I've got something really, really crazy that's happened. I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
So I moved out of ConvertKit and went completely into Kajabi. Kajabi was another one I didn't talk about. If you're using Kajabi for like online courses or anything like that, we use that.
The normal way would be for courses.
Yeah, we use that for brand creators because we have some courses and stuff that are in there.
Right. Okay.
But now we've migrated over to their email platform, which I was a little reluctant to do. So everything was in ConvertKit.
Yep.
Right. And so ConvertKit, what we did is we moved all of our leads, but all of our leads that were warm, meaning they've opened an email in the last 90 days. Okay.
Sorry, say that one more time. So you only moved over the ones that were warm. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Only?
And
okay.
so like, and ConvertKit does this for you. They're like, in the last 90 days, this is your warm audience, meaning this is the people that have opened at least one of your broadcast messages in the last 90 days.
Got it.
Right. So we moved over everyone that was warm. Okay. But there was probably 6,000 people that were cold.
Oh my. Wow. That's a lot.
Okay. It is, right?
Yeah.
So you're like still paying for these people. So I'm like, okay, so here's what I'm going to do as a little test and a little experiment is I'm going to email those people and I'm just going to have like the subject line, like, should I remove you? ? Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then I just explain in there very shortly, like, hey, I noticed you haven't opened an email in a long time. I just want to make sure if you're still interested in Etsy. If you are, don't do anything. We'll go ahead and keep sending you emails. If you don't want to receive anything, just click unsubscribe, right? And whatever. So I have sent that email probably, and I'm not exaggerating, 25 times. And every single time, so imagine this for a second. I send it out to, let's just say 5,000 people.
Yeah,
right?
just to the cold ones. Yeah.
Just to the cold. 5,000 people with, do you want me to
Yep.
unsubscribe you? Right. Or are you still there? Like I did all these different random ones, right?
Yeah.
It was fun to do actually, because it was interesting.
Right.
And so out of those 6,000, let's say I had a 1% open rate. Okay. Now,
Okay.
let's just say 1%. So 1% was like 50 email subscribers,
exactly.
right? Whatever the number is. I'm probably off a little bit, but it was like 50. Like, right, let's just say it's 50. That's 50 people now that open the email that are basically saying, no, I'm still here. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did that for 7 days in a row. I took the same email. And now remember, when they open the email, they're not cold anymore. So now they're taken out of that as a cold.
They're putting
a warm bucket now, right?
Yep.
And so then what I did was I sent another email the next day, and the title might have been something like, "It's Scott. Are you there?" Right? Like that's it. Another 50 people opened. And I'm like, holy crap, that's 100 people that I would have just deleted.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
I've done this for about a month now, and we have re-engaged about 1,000 people.
Wow. Really? Wow, that's
1,000 people. And I'm still doing it. Like I literally make it part of my every other day thing. I go back in, I duplicate the email, and I hit send. And and you'll see the list go from like 6,000 to now where I'm sending it out to, 5,800. And then the next day I'm sending it out to 700, right? And so I'm getting anywhere from 1% to 2% open rate on every single one. When you would think, oh, I sent it out twice, they're not answering, they're not opening. And I've had people that reply and say, Scott, no, don't take me off the list. I've just been busy.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
So I guess the reason why I'm sharing that is because even though people might not seem interested right now, it just could be because their life is busy.
Yeah. They just don't want it at this moment.
Exactly. So I always tell people, if you're going to delete a list of cold, make sure you run through a sequence and try to warm them back up before you officially delete them.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a fun experiment, and I'm still doing it. I'm still experimenting, because every week now what we'll do is we'll export the people that responded by opening, and then we re-import them now into Kajabi.
Okay. Got it.
So we're like adding new people, or we're adding old people that are re-engaged that aren't technically there right now.
Right. Yeah. No, that's
pretty cool.
That's a great tactic that I have personally not thought about before. So that sounds really, really good. And obviously it's a great tactic for people to implement.
Send to the unopens.
Yeah, especially if they start to accumulate a list that seems otherwise unengaged.
Yeah.
So now I think it'd be great to talk about some technical logistical things like maybe frequency and subject line, preview line, and perhaps the differentiation of straight text in an email versus text with image versus what might proper be like an Apple-esque product email with beautiful imagery that's all basically links to go buy something. So maybe let's start with, we can just go in that order. We'll start with maybe the frequency of how many you're sending and for how long and for over what span of time, then subject line, preview line, and then maybe what the contents of the email are.
Okay, cool. And I might have to have you remind me of the sequence.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, I know that's a lot of questions all at once.
Yeah, let's start with frequency. So frequency for me is a minimum of once per week.
Okay, got it.
Once per week with a resend to unopens.
Okay, got it.
So it's like one per week, guaranteed, and then plus the second one is going to be to the unopens. Okay.
Right. And that's the next day, right? Next day?
Usually next day. I mean, you could wait 2 days, and if you're only going to send one email, maybe you wait an extra day, because then you'll let them have time to maybe still, and you'll see
if they're going to see it. Yeah.
It'll trickle. But for me, because I send 3 emails a week for brand creator stuff, I send Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I'll do Monday morning, 7, 8 o'clock. I try to. And then the next morning is sent to unopens. And then Wednesday's a fresh email. And then it's sent to unopens on Thursday, and then Friday, and then Saturday. And so that's kind of how I roll there. My wife's Etsy shop, on the other hand, I'm writing those emails, by the way, for my wife, who I know her. I've been married 30 years. Now, just celebrated 30 years 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
So I know her pretty good. So I know her voice. She
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't like writing emails. So I said, I'll do it. And so I write as her, but I kind of like, I write as her and I write what she's doing, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh
Like
yeah.
she had
100%.
a customer the other day that requested, they wanted a different style pillow and a different design if she could create one. And my wife said, yeah, sure. And so she did. And then I went ahead and wrote about it. I said,
That's cool.
after I
That's
sent the
cool.
email the other day, I had one of my customers email and ask if I can make this type. And I said, yes. And if you want to see it, go here. And that was it. And that thing
Nice.
resulted in like 6 additional orders, for like
That's
$300.
amazing.
Yeah. So I try to write, I write for her, but I write as her. So anyway, so frequency, I would say minimum is once per week,
Okay.
as much as 3 times a week. Like, I think if you're delivering value, you got something to say, email, like,
Okay.
don't be afraid of it. But and I would say for my wife's, it's usually once to twice per week.
Okay.
With the resend unopens in there in the off days.
Got it. Yeah, that seems like a very manageable place to start is once per week. And if you can't do that.
But if you're promoting, that's where it changes.
Okay. Okay.
So like I do something that I call the 4-day profit push, which is basically I'll do like an email that announces the thing. So it's like, hey, we're doing a special Memorial Day, Labor Day, like Memorial Day coming up, right? Like, so it's like we're doing a special 4-day Memorial Day special, right? Starts now, right? And hey, go to our website or go to our Etsy shop and get 25% off. Go here to hop in on this sale, like something like that, right? Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon, right? That's it, right?
Exactly.
That's the email. From there, the next day, I'm going to send a reminder, another email back to back. I know it's crazy. People will be like, you're sending too many emails to people. I'm like, no, it's okay. They're fine. They have an unsubscribe button at the bottom if they think they're getting too many emails.
Yep.
So then the second email is going to be like, hey, I sent you out an email yesterday. I wanted to make sure you saw it. If you had any questions, let us know. But through Thursday or Friday, whatever the date is, you can get 25% off all of our whatever pillows or something.
Exactly.
Go here, check them out, get your 25% off. Talk to you later. Have a great weekend. The third one would be the day before it ends. And that title or that subject line would be something along the lines of ends tomorrow, like something like that.
Or something like that. Yeah.
And then from there, I basically say, just following up, wanted to make sure you saw this just in case you were on the fence or maybe you were busy. This is going to be ending tomorrow night. If you missed it, here's the details. Go here to get the discount before it ends. That's it. Right. And then the last day, you send out another round. I say round because I send out 2 to 3 emails on the last day. I know, and people will get all freaked out by that, but man, if you just let me write your emails for 4 days, I'll make you money. I'm just saying, I'm that confident. I don't offer that service, by the way, so don't reach out to me for writing your emails.
Don't ask Scott to do that, please. In theory, but write as Scott.
I actually had a lady that I did. This was years ago when I was doing a little private coaching, and I wrote some emails, and she ended up doing $20,000 in 4 days.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, from t-shirts. Wow. From t-shirts. And they were selling for like $18.99. It's a lot.
Maybe you should moonlight. I don't know. Maybe you should. You charge 10, they make 20. I don't know. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good offer. But yeah. Anyway, so the whole thing works. But yeah, so on the last day, bare minimum, you're going to send 1 email. That 1 email is going to be basically like deadline ends tonight or final notice, something like that. Then from there, you're just going to say, hey. I know I've been emailing a lot lately, but I wanted to make sure you saw this so you didn't miss out. Go here to get the discount before it ends tonight.
Yeah.
That one there is going to probably get you the most sales.
Yeah. Right there. That time sensitive, right? I need deadline. To do this. People have been blading it. They've been putting it off. They know it's there. They've seen 1 or 2 of the emails and they're saying like, oh, okay, I really need to get in here and get it right.
And people will thank you at times. They'll thank you. They'll be like, oh, thanks for sending that last email. I would have forgot, you know?
Exactly.
So, people think everyone is paying attention to them, but most of the time they're not. Like I said, 1,000 people, 20% is 200 people. There's 800 people that aren't paying attention to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Now on that note
Yeah.
of paying attention. So we talked about frequency now. We talked a little bit about subject maneuverability, right? We
Yep.
talked about creating this something that motivates them to open the email. So we talked a
Sure.
little bit about that. Can we talk just a little bit more about the crafting of a subject as it relates to obviously offering product, service, and or story,
Mhm.
and that preview text? I think there's lots of gurus that talk about subject line, subject line, subject line. I mean, also really funny that still the most opened email is "Don't open this email." Like that subject line
Yeah.
is like one of the most open one.
Yeah.
But I think some people also are afraid and or not sure what to do with that little preview text, because you get that little line
Mhm.
where a lot of people I think are a little lazy and they just copy the first couple of sentences from the email itself
Yep.
and they just put it in, and or if you leave it empty it just starts showing the first couple of lines, and or what's worse is it might actually show the code of your first image if you are using an
Yeah.
interesting like wackadoodle email client. So
Yeah.
I think we want to utilize that preview space. So if you could talk a little bit about that connection of the subject and preview, how we're getting that open.
Yeah. And it's funny, I'll be honest, on the preview text, like I haven't used that in the past as much. Now I use it, but I
Right.
never used to use it. But I also never put images really in my emails. So the
Ah,
first
okay.
thing that you would
Would
see,
would rise. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So it was
Exactly.
almost like my first part of my email was kind of like my preview, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I can't believe I thought of this past weekend. Right? Like
Right.
something like
Okay.
that would be the preview,
Right.
which if I didn't write that and I wanted to create a good preview, the preview to me should pique curiosity,
Exactly. Exactly. That's
right?
what we want. We don't want to give all of it away because, like you said earlier, I actually have no reason to open that email. Swipe, it's gone.
Right.
Right. It's
Yeah.
archived.
Yeah. Yeah. So the subject line is kind of like, again, curiosity, usually something compelling, something that's not just your typical thing. It could also be read this if you're a garden lover, right? Like
Oh, right.
garden
Yep.
lovers only,
Yeah.
plus me.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
literally am calling them out, right? And they signed up to my email list, so I know that they're that. But I also, by knowing your audience and knowing like what they're into, also helps. You know,
Okay.
um,
Yep.
you
Context
know,
clues.
yeah. And so starting with something that is going to pique their interest.
Mhm.
And again, I always think about it like if I was going to write you, Drew, an
Right.
email because you and I are friends, and I'm like, I wanted to send you something to check out, what would it be? It might be like, you got to check this out.
Right. Right.
Right. And then
Yeah.
you might put in there best, I don't know, best band ever. Right.
Right.
If you and I were talking about music or something,
Music. Yeah.
right? Like that
Right.
would be it. And then in the preview, something you would put something again along the lines of like, uh, uh, you know,
I can't believe the kind of music these people are putting out, or something
yeah,
like
or
that. Yeah.
something. Again, you got to remember you probably should keep that short because it's going to get truncated. So it's like the
That's right.
first probably 5, 6
5 to
words.
6 words. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Um, but like I did one the other day for my wife. That's why it's coming to mind. But it was kind of like, um, this design made me so happy. And then I put a smiley face,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the smiley face I do is I do it with characters. I do it with like
Oh, okay.
colon,
Instead of
like I
emoji.
don't
Yeah.
use the emoji. Um, I know a lot of people use emojis and subject lines and stuff. I don't. I think that hurts deliverability. I think it could.
Hmm.
So I try to stay away from emojis. I should test it and see. I'll send one with, one without. I'll probably test it. I
Sure.
just know when I see them, it makes me feel markety. It makes me feel. Sometimes I guess a friend would send that, but I don't really have friends that send me emails with emojis in them. But I don't know. It could just be me.
Yeah,
Um,
I think context is probably
yeah,
important. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would just say whatever's in that preview, you want it to be curiosity based. Like OMG, like this was awesome, or OMG, this made my day, or OMG, I can't believe this happened.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be like that type of stuff that you want to click in to see what the heck you're talking
Yeah, it's
about.
kinda like a YouTube video title,
100%. Yeah.
thumbnail. It's got
Yeah.
a thumbnail without an image, right? Basically.
Yeah. 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 You have your thumbnail and then you have your title and your thumbnail. So yeah, I mean, but again, like, I don't think people should stress too much about that stuff in the beginning. I think in the beginning, just be real authentic and just
Okay.
say with what you would say to a friend. Don't try to make it businessy or corporatey.
Okay.
Honestly, people are so in tune right now with that stuff that they want more transparent businesses, right? They want, like, they're buying from the girl or guy next door, right? Like
Sure.
the mom and pop shop. I'm supporting a local coffee shop, right?
Yep.
Like, I want to feel that. And I think that's why Etsy is such a great play, because I always lean into, like, when my wife is writing, it's more like, it's just me and my dog and my husband and my kids, and we're just living life. And I just
Yeah.
happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just pretty much real. And I think transparency nowadays is big.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I mean, people want to be talked to like they're there, not talk with, not talk at.
Yep.
Right. And there's a time and place to talk at, which
Sure.
is similar to your promotional structure of the 3 to 4 to 5 day promotional period.
Yep.
Of this is time sensitive. You got to get in on this. Don't wait until the end. Right. That's kind of talking at, in a way, but it's for their betterment. And then everything else, you have to interweave narrative. People love narrative, right? Like
Sure.
the story, realness. Why are you even doing this, man? If you can just explain why you have an Etsy shop, why it's important to you, or why you're doing streetwear or Shopify or whatever, like, that's so big. And people, like, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last time. People are finding you. Your vibe attracts your tribe, man. It's a tribe.
True.
It's not necessarily just a scatter plot of a random assortment of items and then thinking you're going to go send an email every week of just a list of products. I mean, you gotta build that reputability,
For sure. Yeah, no, it's big. It's big.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to discuss is something you hinted at earlier, which is the inside of the email. So we've covered a lot of ground already today in this conversation. And now we're at the decision-making points where we've got that email open. And I think there's some data over the last 2 to 3 years that's been going back and forth. And it's interesting that you said you're using mainly text, because I just finished writing my book. It's currently with the layout team, hopefully to be published. And I talked about email in that.
Yeah.
And my most recent metrics that I looked at a bunch of different people that were talking about emails with text and images, emails with just text, emails with large blocks of images. And still, I think it's around the 59 to 60% people prefer, and this is a survey of the US, I don't know about internationally, people prefer basic text emails, which I think is a little insane. But like, I get it. So I want to know what your thoughts are. Obviously, you've been doing this a long time, so you've tested. Clearly, you love the text-based. Maybe there's a time to put an image in there if you're doing a narrative, if you're doing a story and it's a picture of whatever, or if it's a picture of your wife working on a pillow or whatever. There's time and place for that. So what do you think about the inside of the contents? Has it hurt your click-through rate? Does it bolster your click-through rate? Do you notice when you put images in there, they're like, I don't need to click on it because now it's already there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't say that as much. Like, if I was going to put an image in anyway, it would be an image that would draw more curiosity. It wouldn't be like, here's the thing.
Okay. So it has to incentivize then following through completely.
Yeah. So that's why I tend to leave that out, because I can explain more in the text and in the, and not, and then if you want to see the image, you click. Right. So it's like, and most people will, because it's just a click of a button. They're going to see it and they're going to want to see it. So yeah. And as far as, like, I don't have any hard data myself, other than I've tested it a few times putting images in, and I have noticed a slight drop in my deliverability. And I've even tested it on a couple of my own accounts, to where I send my emails to myself and it ends up in the promo tab in Gmail.
Interesting.
So
very interesting.
How many times do you go into your promotions tab? to just go look for emails.
Only if someone says, "Can you go check your
Exactly. Or your
Which
spam,
happens,
right? You're
it
like,
happens sometimes. Yeah,
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 you're like, damn, I haven't gotten it. I wonder why. I should probably go check my spam folder. Oh yeah,
exactly.
there it is.
There it
Right.
is, and then you have to
It's
drag
not
it
because you're
over. Yeah.
there. It's not like you're there like, I should go. I'm bored. I kind of want to go check my promotions tab.
Mhm.
You don't usually do that. So I want to stay out of there. And the other thing is if I start getting delivered in the promotions tab, guess where Gmail is going to start putting me, Scott Volker, or my wife? Where are they going to start putting you, even if you sent a text-based one now?
Yeah, it's in the promotions tab, yeah.
Exactly.
Even
Because
if you try to, yeah.
you're training the filter to filter you. That's why another little thing that I like to do is in the very first email that goes out, it's a
Mhm.
stripped down version of maybe one link. That's it. And the reason is because I want that to get through the spam traps, and I want it to land in their inbox, and I want them to open it, and I want them to reply back to me. So I always put in there too, let me know, like, what's your favorite gardening tip, or what's your favorite, plant, and then this way here, they're going to reply. The minute they reply, we're automatically friends. Gmail
Yeah,
knows it now. So
yeah,
now when I'm sending emails, it's going to get delivered to their inbox a lot more than if I was to just send, just a regular email that could go into a
exactly.
promotions folder. So it's a little tactic that I've used in the past that I want you. That's why you hear some people say, like, whitelist my email address. Who's going to whitelist you? Like, really? Like, that's not
Yeah.
that. Like, I'm not going to go, oh, I got to go whitelist, put them in my good contacts. I'm not
Yeah,
doing that.
it takes yeah, yeah.
But
And I've even noticed
if you reply to me, you've now signaled that you want to be in my
you
contact.
wanna be, yeah, and because I noticed that because I've tried dragging the email from promo or spam into inbox,
Yep.
and then 3 to 4 weeks later, whatever that company was or whatever, it ends back up in promotions,
Sure.
right? Because there's not real engagement. However, for whatever reason, I decided I wanted it to be in my inbox. I think it was like LL Bean or something like that.
Yep.
Because like I really like LL Bean stuff, and like 3 4 weeks later, it's back in spam or
For
promotions. It's
sure.
back in promotions, not spam. I
Yep.
don't think they ever end in spam. And that's really interesting. I don't know how much experience you have or utilized Sticker Mule, but they're one of the companies I noticed first from the very get go that they only use text.
Oh, I
It
haven't
was
noticed that. That's interesting. What is it? It's
it's
Sticker
so
Mule.
Sticker Mule. It's
Cool.
so interesting. Like, and it immediately reminded me of some of the accounts and data and blogs I had went and read about how text-based emails are winning. And I mean,
Mm.
Sticker Mule is massive. I mean, they do a lot of things. You can do poly mailers, you can do keychain stickers, whatever. I've used them a lot. I mean, I've still got stickers up here from them that we did for previous videos. I mean, Sticker Mule is great. And every time they send something out, whether it's a confirmation email or if it's something they're like, hey, this just in, you can get 25 stickers for $10. It's literally text and there's a link and it says purchase here. It's
So
crazy, literally blue
we should
hyperlink.
probably pay attention to a company like that, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100, and it's
That's
never ended up in my promotions or spam account.
yeah,
Sticker Mule
yeah,
has never ended up there, and
yeah.
that is so interesting. And the reason I think that people are so hesitant to just do that is because they want their email to appear and feel branded,
Yep.
right? They want it to appear like a semi version of the website. And I
Yep.
came from a web agency where I was on the team that was creating these beautifully crafted emails to basically look like a mini landing page.
Yep.
And our open rates, I don't think were ever 30 to 40%. They weren't like 2%, but it's just
Yeah.
like there weren't as much conversion as the emails we would send out that was like from our CEO and it's literally just text with a signature.
Right.
Like
Right.
almost no comparison. It's just like
Yeah.
that would be like 40, 50, 60%.
Yep.
Ridiculous, right?
I know.
Because this is thousands and thousands and thousands of emails being sent. And
Yeah.
so, and it's like, what do we do? Well, I don't know. Just put your logo at the end of it. I'm not sure. It's like, I think that's what Sticker Mule does. I think it's below whatever thanks, comma, Sticker Mule John, whatever. I don't know his name, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's just the Sticker Mule logo, I think is at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm a fan of keeping it simple in everything. Like, so it's like the less in your email. Like I wrote and I did a whole video on our channel on some emails that I wrote.
Okay.
And 104 to 150 words are my emails.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And those emails generated in 21 days, like a little over $1,100. So,
yeah,
I mean,
it
and
works.
it took me like less than 20 minutes to write all of the emails. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh my gosh.
20 minutes of work, $1,100 that you wouldn't have had otherwise because I sent like 3 emails.
Yeah. I mean, 100 words is like 100 words is like one paragraph of a blog.
Yep.
So
I literally just, and mine are like, I usually, and that's another rule of mine is like, I never have like more than 3 lines on, or, like 3 sentences on one
sections.
line.
Yeah,
I try to keep it 1 to 2 because people like to scan.
100%. 100%.
So,
It draws them to the next thing. You
Yep.
have to lead them. You have to guide them through,
Yep.
as opposed to just looking at this whole block.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And I don't use buttons or anything in there that's like, like a button that says go here or check this out or, visit my store or anything like that. It's generally going to be more of like a direct command. It's kind of like in the old NLP days. I don't know anything about NLP really, but I know that it's like a direct command, which is more like, go here to check them out. It's like I'm telling them, go here to check them out, or go here to grab yours, or you know what I mean? Like it's like you're giving them what to do, and people like to be told what to do in a nice way. Like they like to be guided. So it's like, why not guide them to where you want them to go?
100%. 100%. Well, this has been amazing, Scott.
Yeah, it's fun. Always love talking email, man.
Yeah. I've got notes written down here to
there you go. Look at that.
Parse out so I can enact not only myself, but also, I'm gonna clip some of these up for some good 2 to 3 minute clips.
Awesome.
Get some people on the email train. Now, is there anything you'd like to say that's upcoming for your channel? I mean, you've just been really killing the YouTube game lately. It's really great to see just tons of content for Etsy or otherwise. And you mentioned you have some courses and stuff on Kajabi. Is there anything coming up that people should know about on the YouTube or otherwise?
Yeah, just I mean the YouTube is kind of like our primary thing now. That's like our content distribution, channel, I guess I would call it. And we're trying to do, a lot of stuff that's helping the Etsy seller, but also anybody that's in e-commerce. We're starting to kind of get into a little bit of the TikTok shop type stuff. And really trying to just bring like important news also that is important for e-commerce people. And so, yeah, I would say it's a great place to go if you're not on Etsy for sure. Then just e-commerce in general. I mean, even like the latest with like Temu and like Alibaba and like all of that stuff, like we've covered it. We're going to keep covering it. My partner, Chris, is just great at like digesting all of that stuff and like distilling it. So yeah, brand creators, that's kind of where we're hanging out. We do a live every single Wednesday, generally go for about 90 minutes to a couple hours. And we try to teach, and we also try to bring some important news to the e-commerce space. But email, if anyone wants to kind of learn a little bit more about the email, I do have a free guide. If you go to brandcreators.com/email, just go there and you see what I just did, guys. I've got an email, like I've got a link that'll take you to a landing page. And you will put your name and email address in, and you will be on my list. And even if you just join my list to basically see how I am writing emails, you can pretty much just be a student by watching what I'm doing. But when you do that, you're also going to get my email playbook that I use for primarily Etsy, but it's really just been adapted or adopted for the Etsy platform. But I've been using this same kind of playbook, for years. And it's done. I didn't even mention that because I don't like to really like sound like I'm bragging or anything, but I mean, I've been doing it a long time, but we've done millions of dollars through email, just email.
Wow.
So, the stuff that I've learned, I've kind of like put into a concise guide that will help e-commerce sellers. So if you want that, brandcreators.com/email. And that's it. Yeah. That's what I got.
All right. Everyone, it is down in the description. Everything that you need, all those links, I'll make sure to get all of those correct.
Awesome.
That's all linked down there, as well as Scott's channel. You can find that. It's going to be tagged in this video anyway, so you can click that tag. It's going to go straight to his channel. Check it out. Everyone watching, if you've watched this point and you're not subscribed, I have no idea what you're doing. Please hit the subscribe button. It's right there. It's unfortunately not red anymore, but that's
Somewhere.
okay. It's somewhere. It's down below you, or if it's on your phone, it's right, it's to the right or something like that. It really helps us out a lot. Helps us continue to create high quality content. Helps us have these amazing conversations with wonderful people like Scott that just want to educate, and that's what we're about. So please subscribe. And if there was something you didn't understand in this conversation, please comment below. If you have questions, if you have no idea, we said something, you're like, I need more, then that's great, because that's data that we both have. That's data Scott can make another video for his channel. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help you. Grab that guide. If you have a question about the guide, now you know where to go to ask about the guide. So please let us know down in the comments, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.